Hello and welcome to another video in XW-P1. We're still step sequencing. This time we're going to put together a 3/4 rhythm, and we're also going to learn about the different quantization levels we can do to add chords. So let's start with just a simple way of setting up a different time signature other than the 4/4. So today we're going to do a 3/4 rhythm. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my drawbar organ and bring all my sliders up and down to reset them all. And then go back to my step sequencer, enter step sequencer function, and let's pick out a brand new one. Here's a new one not used at all. And we're going to start with track 8, which is normally there's that 4/4 beat that we're so familiar with. But this time we're going to step away from that a little bit, and we're going to go to beat info. We're going to put 3/4 time signature in there. Then we're going to go to track parameters and max step of 12, because there's only 12 steps in a 3/4 rhythm. So now I'm going to go ahead and step in I can't hear that first beat, so I'm going to go ahead and put something different on the first beat, and we're going to change I changed the first beat so you can hear that it is actually 3/4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we've got a 3/4 beat with our kick. And I'm going to go over here. We'll just put in some hi-hats. Again, we have to change our max step to 12. Our beat info is remaining at 3/4. It is holding. But the reason I had to change it from 16 to 12 is because if you saw the last video, those polyrhythms allow you between each track to change different ones. But overall it's going to be a 3/4 beat. That's going to be the time signature throughout. So let's add some hi-hats. And we're going to do that on track 10. And I'm going to go ahead and just and I put a little open hi-hat on the last step. So now you can hear the first step as a different bass drum and the last step as a different cymbal. So for those of you not familiar with 3/4, and most people don't step sequence in 3/4 time, I just picked that because it's so unusual, and I wanted you to be able to realize there's all kinds of time signatures and stretches that you could do in here. And there we have a simple 3/4 beat. And it's done through 3/4 time signature and going through the edit and track parameters and setting up a max step of 12. Okay, let's go back to a simple 4/4 beat now. I'm going to erase that by just changing my step sequencer. Because I didn't save that, it's all gone by just simply changing from 3/4 5 to 3/6 and back to 3/5. That's why you need to save a lot. It doesn't take much. I mean, just getting out of the step sequencer can sometimes be enough, or just changing the tone can sometimes be enough to throw you out. So saving is something we want to do a lot. So again, I'm going to switch over to my drawbar organ, reset all my sliders back down to 0, and back to step sequencer. We're in step sequencer mode, pattern 1, and it is clear and empty. Now, if you had a sequence that you didn't like and you just wanted to clear it out and you had already saved it, the easiest way to do that is again through the edit. You're going to go over to the last page, which is clear, enter, and here you can clear just a track, just one pattern, or the entire sequence. So if I wanted to get rid of the whole sequence, I would just press enter, yes, and now the entire sequence is erased. So at the beginning we can just do a right after the beginning, step down on my navigation and name the thing. Enter, we're saving to user 3/5. So now we have an empty sequence, but it is named. Going to go to edit, track parameters, and we are at a 16 step and a 16th note quantize. So let's just do a plain 4/4 beat. And we're going to do it on track 8 or channel 8. And I'm just going to go ahead to the sequencer and punch them in. I'm going to go to the mixer, change the drum kit. I'm going to come over to the sliders and I'm going to change the volume. A lot of people never do this for some reason. It gives a bouncy feel to it. A lot of times the kick isn't exactly the same beat or the same velocity, intensity. So now the first and the third beat of our 4/4 rhythm has a little bounce to it, which is what rock beats actually do. So if you want to simulate a rock beat, you would put emphasis on 2 of the beats out of the 4. Okay, next we're going to add the snare so we can enhance the second beat. So we're going to go over to track 9 and I'm going to enter in 2 snares. And I don't like the sound of that snare. We'll use that one. And go on to the next one and we're adding a hi-hat. And let's go through and adjust up some volume levels on this. So over to 8, we're going to bring that kick down. We're going to bring the snare down. And like the last time, we're going to put a I'm going to put open hi-hat on step 16 so you can see where it ends. And let's go ahead and enhance step 1 so we can know where it begins. So let's put a percussion on track 11. So what's track 11 got? For instrument, we are on a standard set. That means let's put a click right at the very beginning. And I'm going to do that by pressing 1, or by going to the, first we got to go to the step edit, because we're going to do a step edit on this. That's the tone we wanted. I'm going to just press 1, change that to a click, and now so track 11, let's bring the volume down on that wooden click. So now you got the click at the very beginning, and you have the open hi-hat at the very end, showing you the beginning and end of this sequence, which is going to be important where we move on into this different quantization levels. Okay, so we got the wooden block at the beginning and open hi-hat at the end. Now we're going to move over to the only channel, the only track, which is 16, that allows chords. So let's set up a chord in 16. Let's do a synth chord. I'm going to go to the synth, and I'm going to scroll up into some of the more complex chords. A little too mellow for our rock type. We'll go ahead and use this halo pad. So 16 is what we need. I'm going to go through the edit, track parameters, and now we're changing our 16th note quantization down to quarter note. And I'm going to do a, because I've slowed down to quarters and it's in 16th, it gives me a whole lot of time in one length sequence to put a chord in there. So let's go up to step edit, because I'm going to play the chord in on the keyboard. Okay, we got a little problem here. We got something got stuck in there. You can see our track 11 isn't playing our stick anymore. So let's go to back to 11 and see what happened here. Back into the mixer, it's playing the hollow pad because I set the hollow pad up on the wrong channel. So we got to go back to drums. Okay, that's been fixed. Now we go back to 16 and we go to synth, and now we'll be playing the hollow pad on channel 16. So back to edit. And I did a chord progression in there on the quantize of a quarter beat. So listen to it carefully. The sticks, at the beginning and the end. Remember, we got the open hi-hat at the 16th step and the wood block at the first. But listen to how many chords I got in there. All because it was done on a quarter. The quarter, if it was done on the eighth, I could have got 2 chord progressions in there. But on the quarter, because it's 4 times longer than the 16th, I was able to get 4 chord progression in there. Now quarter is as low as it goes. It doesn't go to a whole note. A whole note would allow you to play 8 chords. So listen carefully to the sequence from the beginning to the end. You'll listen. The wood block is starting at each one of the chord progressions. So even though we still got 1 measure, it sounds like 4 because we got a 4 chord progression going on in there. And I'm going to write this so that I don't lose anything at this point. Now we can. I wanted to track 12 to put in a bass, and the bass will be that chord progression was a C, F, G, 7 back to C. And I'm going to match my bass guitar to that chord progression. So let's get a bass guitar in channel 12. Something a little mellower like a finger bass, finger electric bass. Okay, and I'm going to play this one in live. So back to step edit. And you can see I screwed that up. I missed my beat. Let's do it again. And while that was playing, I put the key shift in. So let's turn key shift in and see if we can get progressions. We already got a 4 chord progression channeled or programmed in, but I'm going to use to change. And chord progresses. We got the chord progression, but we also can use the key shift to change the key from C to anything you want. And I went from C to F to G to E flat. And that's all done by fitting all that in under the step size or quantization by using a quarter note instead of the 16th note. And that's it for step sequencing. What we're going to do after this, I don't know. We still have editing on the mono synth, but again, that's a very long and complex process. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing that, but right now you've got a very good idea of what to do with your step sequencer. And again, by simply going into the edit, track parameters, and step size, you can change the step size of anything that's currently running also. So if I step over to the cymbals, and change the quantization level. I'm going to turn that chord down so you can hear things better here. Okay. Now let's go back to the cymbals, which is on track 10, and I'll be changing the time signature. No, correction, not time signature, I'm changing the quantization, or what's called step size here. Here's the original one, which at this point I'm going to write in. And back to edit, track parameters, step size or quantization. Here's the original. Now let's change that to triplet. Now it's on quarter notes, the cymbals. Eighth notes. Here's the cymbals on eighth notes. And quarter notes. And back to our original. And again, by changing the max step size, you could add polyrhythms to this sequence also. And don't forget, we have arpeggios and phrase sequencers to add to it too. Have fun.